So this is a very quick video showing you how to turn a box into a playhouse, which can become all sorts of things. Could become a bat cave, a superhero HQ, a science lab, a mini art gallery, a zoo, a school. You could turn it into anything you want, and it's just made with cardboard boxes that you might have at home. So the first thing you do is you take a big cardboard box like this. This is a big kind of standard rectangular cardboard box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the sides, these flaps, off of my box. So that's step one, cut the flaps off. Okay, so I have now cut all 4 of those flaps off of my box. I've got 2 long pieces and 2 short pieces, so my box now looks like this. So it's a box sealed at one side with the flaps cut off. Now I'm just going to do a little bit of trimming on this box because I think it's a little bit deep to be decorating and playing with, but you can well just use your box as it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is trim it down a little bit. Okay, so to trim the box, what I did, I took a ruler and I went to each corner of my box and I measured down 20 centimetres. So I went round each corner of the box, I measured 20 centimetres and made a little mark. And then what I did is I joined up all those marks so that around the edges of my box I have a line for trimming. This is just going to make my box a bit shallower so that it's easier to decorate and easier to play with. It's not a necessary step, but I think it helps to make the box a bit easier to use. Okay, so now you have trimmed your box. It measures roughly 20 centimetres all the way round, so it's shallower to play with. The next thing you're going to do is make your internal levels for the box, the floors and walls in other words. This is where you go back to those flaps that you cut off in the first part of the film. So you take one long one and you take one short one. And these are going to be going inside the box to essentially become the floors and the walls. So what you need to do, there'll be a flatter, very nice straight end of the box, which is the bit that you didn't cut. The bit that you did cut is likely to be a tiny little bit wobbly. So we'll keep that bit on the outside and we'll keep this part, the flat side, going against the back of the box. So what you want to do now is on this side, the slightly wobblier bit, is make 2 cuts. You want to make a slit in your box. So you just cut in, don't go towards the end, leave a good inch at the back, at least, maybe about 1.5 inches. So you make 1 cut, and then what you do is you make a second cut very close to it, very kind of a small gap, but enough that there's now a gap in your cardboard. So in other words, that there's a nice slit in your cardboard. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your shorter piece of cardboard, sorry, because that is going to slot in to make your cross shape, which is going to become the walls and the floors. So again, you want the kind of the manufacturer's cut, the nice flat part of the box, to be the bit that's going against the wall of your house, your playhouse. So this time you're going to cut on the flat straight side. So I'm going to just roughly work out, I'm going to put this in. Wibbly. And then I'm going to just kind of measure roughly where about halfway is so that I make my cut in the right place. So that's about there. So I'm going to get my pen, make a quick mark. So when I make the slit in this one, this time, I am not going to do a double cut. I'm just going to do a single cut. And you just need to cut kind of a couple of inches this time as well. You don't need to cut it too deep. Now take out the back layer, and you're basically going to put these 2 together, squash them down really nicely, because that's going to give you your cross. So at this stage you are going to just glue and stick with tape the floors inside your box. Now You can use, if you've got a glue gun to do it, that's great. A glue gun will really, really help it to be nice and strong. If you don't, you can just reinforce with sellotape. I'd suggest reinforcing with sellotape anyway, even if you have glued it, because reinforcing the joins of your box is going to be quite important if they're going to be played with by children. So take your tape, stick your tape along, making sure the tape touches both parts of the cardboard. So this, if you're joining here, the tape should cover half over this part, the wall, and half over that part, the floor. So making sure that you're taping, make sure your tape is touching both sides at all times. And then you basically are going to go around every single corner, every single join of your box and reinforce it with tape in this way so that you get a really strong box. Okay, so we're now going to decorate our box. Now I'm going to use tissue paper. You could use so many different things. You could use wallpaper, you could use newspaper, you could use old wrapping paper, you could just literally cut out pieces from children's boxes, toy boxes of gifts they might have got over Christmas that you still have the boxes for. You could use catalogues, you could use magazines, you can use anything that sticks. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to demonstrate with tissue paper, and I just want to show you, it's really quite important when you're attaching your decorations to do a layer of glue on the underneath. And what's important is then to do the glue on top. So I'm going to stick my, didn't put quite enough. So I am going to stick my tissue paper now onto the side of my box, like that. I'm going to use my finger to just rub it over a little bit. And then I'm going to use PVA glue to cover. Now this is really good covering a layer of glue over the top as well. Number one, it will mean that it's really quite smooth. It gives a smooth finish, which looks like it's been painted. Number two, it will also, when it dries, PVA dries really nice and hard, so it will also create like a strong shell to your box, which will make it nice and strong. I wouldn't suggest painting these boxes because they're cardboard. If you use anything that's kind of quite heavily water-based, like poster paint, for example, it will probably just bend the cardboard shape. So it's best to cover with paper if you can. If you don't have tissue paper, as I say, you can use all of those other things. The interior walls, now we're going to use the same techniques doing that. So I've started doing a piece here already, but basically you are then going to be painting the glue inside the interior walls. And in the same way, you just stick your tissue paper inside the box, tap it down. Now this is a really good way for strengthening. If you did all of the joins in this way as well, it would be really strong. It is quite time consuming. Decorating it in this way took about 40 minutes. So if you haven't got that long, you don't have to do it that way. You could do it much more simply by just cutting out pictures. You could draw on the walls, you could use felt tips to just colour in and make kind of wallpaper effects. There's lots of different ways that you can decorate it. This way will make it nice and strong. So this is one that I did finish all the way round. So I used tissue paper all the way around. We got loads of tissue paper with a hamper at Christmas, so I used all of that up. And then I, as you can see, also added a little extra box on top to create like a third floor, third room, which you can do. You can build out, you could stick boxes on the outside. Now that you've got this basic room, you can do so much with it. You could add doorways, you could add windows, you could have two loo rolls in between rooms to create kind of tunnel. There's lots of different things you can do with it. I was thinking it would make a really nice zoo. So you could have like rooms with different animals. You could create mini museums. You could create schools. So you could make like lots of tables and chairs to go in it. You don't have to have it long ways either. You could also equally have it on its side.